stories about the Delmore brothers. Charlie Louvin sitting over here mighty quiet. He's a native of Alabama as well. Were you influenced by the Delmores in any way, Charlie?
Best duet that ever lived.
There you go.
It's the Delmore brothers.
That's saying a lot. With that,
Well,
you and Charlie, you and I are
listened to 'em
around.
a long time. And,
Yeah.
Of course, Ari and I learned to sing on the bed, with our hind ends together. That's how we could. He could sing a song at his house, and I could be at my house, and we could sing it together. If you knew when it was going to start, But I knew the Delmores well. I never got to meet them in their heyday.
Yeah.
They moved to Memphis in about 1946, and my brother and I went to work with Eddie Hill in early 1947. So I never got to know them when they were the world's #1 duet. But I did know them in Memphis, and then I don't remember the year. Maybe it was 1960. Ari and I went to visit Alton at his home in Huntsville, and we had this idea that we wanted to record a tribute to the Delmore brothers. And we went to get, for one thing, to get Alton's permission, and another is to find out what he thought the Delmore brothers' 12 best songs were, see if it matched ours. We ended up with about 25, and we had to choose 12. And he went in the back bedroom, or in the middle bedroom, and drug out an old case and brought it in and handed it to Ira. He said, "This is Raven's tenor guitar, and it hadn't been played since I put it on the bed ever how many years ago it was."
Good Lord.
And he said, "I'm going to give you this. If you're going to do that Delmore thing, you'll need this tenor guitar." And I brought the guitar home, took the strings off of it, and curled them and put them in a lid with kerosene in it. Soaked them for a couple of days and took the strings out and rubbed them up and put them back on the guitar. And that's what we cut the entire
Are you serious?
tribute to the Delmores.
Good Lord.
And
Isn't that
Raven,
fabulous?
later, after Alton had passed away, well, of course, when Ari passed away, I got the tenor guitar, the Delmore guitar, and so then the boy, Lionel, I think that's Alton's son, came to me and said that he had given the Country Music Hall of Fame his father's guitar, but he really would like to have the tenor guitar, make it a pair. And so I gave that to him, and I suppose it's still in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. But above and beyond that, we thought that of course, we listened to the Monroe Brothers. We recorded one of the center, "You Better Get Ready." Kind of had a couple of minor chords in it, and then they split on the end, and one went up and the other went down. And we admired the Monroe Brothers when they was together, and the Delmores and the Blue Sky Boys. And Carl and Hardy. We had a lot of people to work with, but when we first started singing, Ari sang the lead because he could impersonate Roy, and I could sing Oswald's tenor.
Really?
But after a year or so, well, we found out that the wrong tenor singer was trying to sing the tenor, and so we switched back, and Ari did the harmony. We enjoyed Roy and Oz immensely. We also was fortunate enough to get to cut a tribute to Roy Acuff, an album, and so we just had a good run at it. We had some wonderful people to admire, and before Del takes the microphone away from me, I wanted to say what an honor it was for you to invite me to come to this gathering.
Oh.
And I wanted to thank openly, or personally, the IBMA for about, somebody else might know the actual year, it seemed like it's 3 or 4 years ago, might have been a little longer than that. The IBMA gave the Louvin brothers an award because so many of the bluegrass people had recorded our songs. The award was for our contribution to bluegrass music, and I thought that was a great honor.
It was indeed.
We appreciate it.
Very deserving. The Delmores recorded such a variety of songs. The real simple ones in the story, the blues, Stay Away From Me, and
well, this wasn't a hit. the one I'm fixing to tell you about, but I think it's the prettiest song that the Delmores ever wrote and recorded. Put Me on the Trail to Carolina.
Never heard that.
Oh, it's a fantastic song, and I think that the Delmores came along before BMI. Well, it's true. You know,
Yeah.
I own all the Delmore brothers' 78 recordings.
Yeah.
Plainly states right on the record, not licensed for broadcast.
Yeah.
And so writers like Alton and Raven was highly cheated in that they had so many songs, but they didn't get paid nothing for the performance of them.
Yeah.
But maybe that's changed now. Maybe Lionel has got that straightened out.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Matt, can I say a little bit about, we're talking about the early recordings. I have a record at home that was made by King Records, and it was the first record King Records ever made. It was the first record that Grandpa ever made, and the first one that Merle Travis ever made. And together they called themselves the Shepherd Brothers. They were not allowed to do that because I guess they were on WLW, and they didn't like them to do that. Some reason they didn't call themselves Grandpa and Merle Travis. But it's the first record for King Records, and the first one for Merle, and the first one for Grandpa, and they're all three in the Hall of Fame now. And I think that's
Isn't that beautiful? It is indeed.
Wasn't that 8 more miles to Louisville?
You know, I wish I could tell you what I think it was 8 more miles to Louisville. And I can't tell you what's on the other side. I wish I could. I forget. But
Yeah.
Eddie?
You know it.
You'll Be Lonesome Too was one of the
You'll
sides,
be
wasn't
lonesome, you'll be lonesome too. Yeah.
it? And was it Stepping Out Kind on the other? Was
It
Stepping Out?
wasn't 8 more miles to Louisville.
No,
It was-
because 8 More Miles to Louisville was the first record that Grandpa did as a
Yeah.
solo artist, and Merle Travis played the electric guitar on that,
Right.
and that was in '44.
That's
but this
right,
was
yeah.
earlier in '44.
But this is earlier, yes.
You'll Be Lonesome Too was Stepping Out Kind on the other
I
side of
think
that?
maybe so.
And Grandpa later did that one too.
Right. But they all three are in the Hall of Fame, and that was the first thing they ever did.
Eddie's being humble like he has to ask us, like we know.
Yeah.
He's a Webster Dictionary.
Eddie makes a statement with a question mark at the end of it. And it's a big statement, too.
Eddie can put computers out of business, I believe.
I'm going to redo them to 2000. It's going to call Eddie.
You know, you made a point there a minute ago that rang a bell with me. That the radio station didn't particularly want Grandpa and they were very big stars in their own right on the radio station. Radio stations back at that time were hesitant to have their artists record because if they got popular in other areas, they would leave them. Wheeling, West Virginia was very strong about that back in the 30s and 40s.
I believe
they
that-
did not want their artists to record at all for that reason.
I believe that was the reason. And also, when Grandpa came back from the Army, for some reason they didn't want to take him back at WLW, so he came to look for a job at WSM. So he came down here.
Charlie, we went kind of round robin here, but I was leading up to get you to do a song, if you would.
Lord, I don't know what we do.
Well, if you want to think about it, we'll come back at you.
Well, I don't think very well. Can't remember what I thought a minute ago. So
Well.
if we're going to do it, we better do it right now.
Hey, Lord. Oh, so many things remind me of something else. I was doing while Charlie's getting harnessed up over here, I was doing a bluegrass festival, which I did for 13 years at Renfrew Valley, Kentucky. And I believe it was 72 or somewhere where they put that gas, fuel crunch on, the service stations closed at dusk dark, and a lot of them closed completely because of the oil shortage here. So I got the wild idea. Instead of running one weekend, I'd run 10 days. I'd run 2 weekends, and the first 4 days of the week, I'd use some of the old-time people. I had Mike Seeker, who was here recently, and Charlie Monroe, and Sam McGee, and called Bradley Kincaid, see if Brad would come. And he said, "Oh, I haven't done any shows in so long a time. I'll pass on that." I said, "Well, come on down and visit with us anyhow." So the first day I got there, he was standing there and we was visiting a little bit. He's kicking dirt, and he said, "I'll sing a couple of songs if you want me to." That's kind of like Charlie here. If you bear down or twist my arm, I'll do you a couple of. But they enjoyed him so much, and when he got on, he had to do more than 2, I'll tell you. Charlie, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's all I know.
I'll go back as far as I can. This is not the first record that the Louvin brothers ever made, but it was the first one for Capitol Records, and early 1952, and I might even invite all these people to come see me. I've got the only place in Tennessee it don't cost nothing to get in.
Well, I bet we'll show
It's a
up.
Louvin Brother Museum in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. And Nashville is kind of a tourist town, so keep your money handy for those of you who don't live here, because everywhere you go, if you smoke, you just can't find no place to go. So I stay home an awful lot. I could get Jim McReynolds up here to sing tenor on this right here. I know he
Hey.
knows the song.
I like that idea.
Oh, you can
Yes,
sing
sir.
it back there. I mean, if you're bashful, just get your microphone back there and help me on the chorus.
How far back did you say this goes?
I suppose this song would allude to the caveman also. It's entitled "The Family Who Prays Will Never Be Parted," and it's still alive and well today
That's a lovely song.
on the Bear Family CD box. Jim and Jesse is familiar with the Bear Family. There are no mechanicals paid out of Germany. But out of the 224 songs, I believe the Louvin brothers wrote 190 of them, and that adds up to $1.90 for 190 songs. We have to get that from the publisher.
That's the reason I never published all
But
that stuff.
Jim and Jesse got hooked into that same thing. I know that they called me and wanted me to talk about Jim and Jesse, and I said, "Look, I'm aware of the Bear Family deal, and yes, I'll talk to Jim and Jesse, but it won't be in favor of." And then finally, they talked to somebody from Bear, and they said, "Hey, look, we paid good money for your masters, and we're going to put them out whether you like it or not. You ought to say something nice about us, we'll print it. But if you say something nasty, we won't even put that on it." So it is out. Jim and Jesse has how many CDs in a box? Five CDs. That's probably.
These people from the Bear people was in at the Opry. You meet them when they was at the Grand
Oh,
Ole Opry.
yeah.
And they
Putting on his poor act
yeah.
with his overalls.
yeah,
Yeah,
they said, yeah,
I met him.
they informed all of us that they didn't do this to make money.
Yeah, that's what he said.
But,
But he came to see us in one of those stretched Rolls Royces when I worked for his country. And I guess he had that borrowed from a friend. But with all these fine pickers and grinners back here, we'll start with the chorus, Mr. McReynolds,
All
if you
right.
don't mind. Gentlemen, who's got it? The family who prays will never be parted. Their circle in heaven unbroken shall stand. God will say, "Enter, thy good faithful servant." The family who pray never shall part. Satan has parted fathers and mothers, filling their hearts with his envy and hate. But we shall join them over the river, where the family who pray never shall part. The family who pray will ever be parted. Their circle in heaven unbroken shall stand. God will say, "Enter, thy good faithful servant." The family who pray never shall part. Mr. Wooten. Wars and tornadoes are taking our loved one, leaving us tearful with sad aching heart. But we shall join them over the river, where the family who prays never shall part. The family who pray will ever be parted. Their circle in heaven unbroken shall stand. God will say, enter, thy good faithful servant. The family who pray never shall part. A big thank you to Jim McReynolds.
My pleasure, sir.